Welcome back, episode 78, ladies and gentlemen. We're working on the logistics on this pod. We still don't have a cameraman. It's fucking... it's whatever. We're working on it.
Hey, we're next up. We're next up for sure. How's it going? How we doing?
Celtics just pulled it off again.
Yeah, when you're outmatched, yeah, that makes sense.
Pacers were up 18 at 1 point. It's whatever. I'm not really stressing, but I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah, let's do it.
About... So Jay Carr last night, or not last night, he was with you last night.
Can this be the last time we bring him up?
And
ever?
he tells you, and so I'm playing golf with him today, and he tells me, he's like, dude, what's the deal with Joseph thinking everything's just predetermined in life?
Oh my God.
And I go, he did not bring that up to you
Dude,
last night.
He totally misunderstood everything.
And I said, well, Joe's a Calvinist. You know that, right?
Oh my God. Did he even know what a Calvinist is?
No, probably not.
Yeah, he didn't. He fucking skipped that day of school.
But so everything's predetermined, Joe?
No, we were just talking.
Because you know what's so funny? First, let me say this real quick. So the funny thing is, on hole, I don't know, 18 maybe, I hit not a great drive, and he's like, so that drive was predetermined? This lie is predetermined? Joe would think this lie is predetermined. Like, you couldn't have done anything other than hit this shot right now.
This is the problem with Sacco is I think he locked in on one thing I said, and he's like, that's everything he's saying. So I think... Okay, so what I was talking about last night, because I was talking to a bunch of, like millennials and, the watered down Christianity that they were taught in grade school. They were giving like the notion of like everything's built for a reason. We're having children. Just, God gives us the kids. And then I'm thinking in my head, like, obviously, how you had the kid, right? Like it just kind of happens. Like you did it. You made the child. Like the child just doesn't happen. It's not just like by the grace of God we're just going to be pregnant one day. You know how it happens. And that was the whole argument. They were like, I don't know about that. And I'm just thinking, am I taking crazy pills, or does everyone not understand how kids are made?
By banging?
You bang. That's how you have a kid. Is you're banging to have a kid. It just doesn't happen. You're not just
but is it predetermined who you're going to have a kid with, or do you have free will?
No, I'm saying it's not just like luck of the draw. Like, oh shit, we're pregnant, and it's just like we didn't do anything. It's
like you're not Mary.
That's what I'm thinking.
The Holy Spirit isn't conceiving.
That's what I'm thinking in my head the entire time. And I don't know how Sacco construed what that was to just me saying I predetermine everything. Obviously, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Sacco said everything you believe is predetermined in life. He said he thinks that this conversation is already everything we're going to say.
It already percolated.
That's what you said. You said that everything we're already going to say is already going to be said.
That's not true. I don't believe that.
Like I don't even get this. I don't get to choose what I'm going to say next. That's what you believe?
How do you have a kid? You settle down with somebody in
No,
in the
a lot
future.
of times you don't settle down with somebody.
Can we live in a good situation here? Like you settle down with somebody, you're planning to have a child, you have the child. You understand how you had the child. Obviously,
doing no free advertisement.
Well, yeah, go Delano. Go Delano Tigers. I don't even know who I was talking to. I feel like I was like talking to just like a commercial or like a movie like message that they give at the end of like fucking Lion King or something. I feel like I was having that conversation where it's like, hey, obviously you have a kid because of certain acts to get to the kid. It just doesn't appear right. You're not growing.
Who the hell was trying to say that happened?
I'm not gonna put any names and specifics, but Sokka was there when I was talking about it, and I was like, I've been getting like 1-on-5. Like everyone's like disagreeing with me, and I feel like, am I really gonna be the one saying this right now? Like. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating.
Well, what Sacco took from that is that you think everything in life's predetermined. You thought my shot on 18 was predetermined.
Well, obviously, I don't communicate my ideas well enough, because if that's what he got from that, then I don't
that's
even know where I'm at.
That's what he got from that.
I don't even know where I'm at.
That's what he got from that.
I don't know where he was at. But anyway, this is the same guy who makes the fucking craziest just announcements about fucking sports or what's going on. It's all hyperbole. It's all bullshit.
Well, that makes that boring now, because I was hoping that you were gonna fucking double down on the predeterminism.
I'm not gonna double down on that. That's crazy.
And I thought we were gonna get into that, but fuck, that kind of ruins everything.
I think if we had to say something and we can draw like a circle of what we just touched on, is that Sacco's an idiot, and I don't think you should question. I don't think you should just take his word as
Kid tries
scripture.
Hard. Kid tries.
He tries.
But yeah, I think people like that, like the Calvinist people. It's a cult.
Is that even a religion still?
Yeah,
I feel like I've never heard anyone who's a Calvinist.
What was the guy's name? Something Calvin. He's basically a cult leader, and they were just cult followers. And he was able to preach to the choir and make them believe everything was predetermined and shit. And yeah, it's basically a cult. That's a cult thought.
Okay, so okay, so what is if you think Calvinism is a cult, then what other non-denominated Christian church?
I don't think like Presbyterian or
Well,
Protestant is really a cult. Because think of it.
Can you distinguish the difference between a cult and a
Okay,
religion?
I'll tell you what more of a cult is. What's it called? Why is it on the tip of my tongue?
Branch
Everybody in
Davidian?
Utah.
Oh, Mormon?
Mormons,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck,
I
dude.
think. What's the guy who created Mormonism?
Joseph Smith.
Yeah, Joe Smith. Like that's a cult thought leader. That guy's a cult leader. He tried to saying like he found golden tablets and all this shit.
Do you think any of these founders that actually like started these religions, do you think they actually know that they're bullshitting while it's happening, or do you think they're so
Yeah,
delusionally?
no,
like,
I think they're very delusional. Yeah, they're
or
like,
they believe their own words.
Yeah. You have to at that point. Okay. With stuff like that, yes, but then there's other cult leaders who just want to bang guys' wives and shit. Then they just do it
And
just
he
for
knows
that.
he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows.
It's all BS.
Yeah, he's just really good at playing people. But yeah, I think guys like Joseph Smith really believe what they're saying.
That would be a great movie. And you know who would
What
star
would?
who would star as the cult leader, and he knows it's like a joke throughout the entire
Who?
thing? Danny McBride.
Oh yeah.
Danny McBride
Did you
as
see
the cult
that?
leader.
Did you see the Waco show with what's his name in it? The guy who played in Friday Night
Riggins.
Lights. Yeah. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I've seen a couple documentaries on it. I didn't
No, but
watch
did you see
show.
the Waco show? It was good. It was solid. But yeah, dude, it feels like every modern day cult now, it's just these guys who make these cults just to bang guys' wives.
Yeah,
Like
it
really, that's
seems
really the
like-
bottom of the line. What it is.
Yeah, if you were gonna strategize how I can get more women, it would probably be like, yeah, I'll start a cult. I'll
Just take all their money.
take all their money, give me everything, bring me your wives. We'll have a we'll be this big family. We'll be this big family, and all I got to do is I got to remember the entire scripture of the Bible.
Yeah.
That's what.
You have to be able to. Yeah, that's all you have to do. But like the ones like where it's like a person kind of made it themselves, like Calvinism and Mormonism, but like obviously Catholicism, that was made directly from the succession of Jesus Christ, was what they say.
Yeah, well, I
and
think
Peter.
yeah, okay, so that was obviously
So I don't think
the
that's
year's
more cult.
2024.
I
right?
think there's sects of Catholicism that are probably cult-like.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of corruption. Yeah, there are a lot of different.
Like obviously, there's probably Catholic priests that run cults. Basically, like there's churches that are basically cults.
I think like yeah,
like mass, like guys who run mass,
Nephestorianism is like I think it's like they think of Christ as just man, or like he's either 100% man or 100% God. It's like those different
Yeah.
distinctions, which is like kind of contradicts the entire religion itself. So there are a couple of those, but I don't know, like a bunch of that's. I mean, okay, when was the Great Schism? Like 1076, 1054 with
I
the
don't
East,
know.
East and West, whatever. Big split up, whatever, and then in the 1500s with Martin Luther, I mean, the church at that point was probably just so corrupt. Like, and it was so blatantly obvious that they were just getting away with murder.
Yeah.
And it's like, at some point, you're like, can we call this bullshit out, or are we just going to just be okay with it? And so, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't think like what's it called, Lutherans. I don't think that's so much a cult really. Like I don't think that Martin Luther guy was much of a cult leader. I think he was just more calling bullshit on the church.
So is a cult more like the
if the
founder
leader
of
is trying to bang guys' wives, and
that's only
shit.
if it's a cult.
I mean, that's a big telltale sign it's a cult. But like, so okay, let's say the Calvin guy wasn't
'Cause
banging guys' wives,
yeah.
but he still.
Yeah, are we
was-
assuming the Calvinist guy
No,
was
let's assume that he wasn't banging guys' wives.
okay?
Okay, but he was probably still getting money from these people that were following him and all this shit.
For
so
sure.
I think that can also say that's a cult. Same with the Mormon guy. Like he's getting a ton of money from these guys. What about what's the other religion I'm thinking of? The people who come and knock on your door.
Oh, that's like Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness. That shit's fucked up.
It's
dude.
crazy. They don't believe in holidays. They don't believe in birthdays. They don't believe in gifts.
Bro, and like the kids and shit are all fucked up. Like, dude, there's so many stories of, like these kids that are Jehovah's Witness and they just are so brainwashed and then like they leave the religion like when they're 18 or 19 years old and like all this shit they weren't able to do. They don't even realize what the real world was until they leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of them have been like sexually assaulted and they go try to tell like the elders and the Jehovah's Witness and they just fucking brush it under the table.
Well, can't you? I mean, just imagine being one of those people and like coming out of those like situations and just like thinking like everything is a lie. Everything I've been told is a lie.
That's how it is, yeah.
And like it, I mean, I couldn't trust reality at that point. I couldn't trust my own eyes because then I think everything else is like a simulation or everything else is just being played out in front of me and nothing's really happening.
Simulation, dude. That's That's a crazy one. I think it was the Dave Smith podcast. Maybe I was listening to, or maybe somebody else. No, it might have been somebody else because they were talking about like the new Neurolink shit and like how the guy who the patient one with the Neurolink, he's able to like control a mouse with his head and do all this weird shit.
Yeah, he's able to go on like the internet and look
but
things
Rogan
up.
was talking about, he's like, I could see that this gets developed over 50, 100 years, maybe even 10 years, whatever it takes, but everybody's gonna have Neurolinks, and you can literally go into a whole different reality, like a Matrix basically, in your head, and you could be just a god in a different world basically.
So the moments are
all
right.
you're doing is in your real life eating and sleeping and then going back in that world, and you're just fucking laying down in your bed, just fucking in a different world.
It's like it's a more extreme version of like the iPad kids. They're at dinner, they're just
bro,
plugging
like
in.
100x.
They're just plugging in.
Yes, but bro, like you're in a whole different world, dude. You're just, and who wouldn't do that? Because it's like, fuck, you're a god. Like you could basically do whatever you want.
Yeah, but it's fake.
You can fly around and
it's fake.
No, but it'll make it feel.
It's
so
like playing
real.
NCAA,
dude,
winning 10 national championships.
Dude,
with Texas.
Everything feels so real. Like imagine it. Everything feels as real as possible.
It's hard to.
And you can
reality.
just die and just respawn. And dude, you know, there's so many people who will do that. Like people that are just have nothing going for them. Like they can just be whatever they want, and like
they're playing in their own video
just
game.
fuck bang hookers and shit, and just do whatever you want when you're in this virtual reality simulation. But then that's like,
you know, I would.
What if we're already in a simulation and the simulation's in a simulation?
Right, like
a simulation.
Right, we've gotten to the point where it's like we have made it too hard to distinguish reality and like the video game that we're in, and it's like we forgot that we were even in the video game, and now everyone is in this system.
Did you watch? You obviously watched the Tucker Carlson one with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Can I just touch on this? I think I would get the Neuralink. And I was talking about this yesterday.
I would never.
I think I would do the Neuralink if it was more like practical. Like, say you put the Neuralink in your head.
And you could speak different language.
No, well, yeah, I guess maybe that'd be cool. But like, I'm thinking more like just health-wise. Like, the Neuralink scans your body. It tells you exactly what's wrong with your body, or it gives you warnings of like when something like major's about to happen. Like, if I got like a notification on my phone and I had the Neuralink plugged in, and it told me like, hey, you're gonna have a heart attack in 20 minutes. I would take that. I think I would do the surgery just to have that like security. Like, or like
I'm a guy.
Rare,
I think I'm just an old school guy. I'll just let it happen.
Or like a rare cancer, and it picks it up early, and you can get rid of it fast. And
yeah,
it's
no,
like,
I see what you mean for sure.
I think I would do it for that
very
reason.
Very practical uses, but I just wouldn't want to fucking be any type of robot, anything in me.
I think that shit just scares the shit out of me. Just
it scares the shit out of
getting
me.
Having a heart attack, like not knowing when it's gonna happen, and like you close your eyes and it's just
like,
okay,
that's why you just gotta be healthy. Try to be as healthy as you can.
It's a number one killer.
Yeah, but
it's a number one killer.
Just try to be as healthy as you can. Lower the percentages of it. Take your vitamins. But like, dude, especially I was thinking this too when I was listening to that podcast. I was like, okay, when I have kids or
Which
my
one,
kids
with
have
Tucker?
kids, no, the one where they're talking about the Neuralink. I'm like. And say when like my grandkids or even my kids like, and there's this Neuralink shit out and you could do all that simulation shit, I would forbid them from getting it. Like, dude, like we are people that are going to make sure this world is still working. Like, all these people are gonna just fuck off for the rest of their lives in the Neuralink world. You don't want to see what the world would be like after 15 years of that.
Well, I think maybe
like, dude, power would go out, dude. Everything would go like there's nobody working.
Yeah, they don't have to. Robots. Yeah. AI. Okay, but could it get to a point, though, it's like you're depriving your kid of the world of what's in there because now everything's moved to there. Like the culture's there. Your friends are all there. And so if you deprive him of that world, you're kind of depriving him of his life, right? Because he's got to live in the world that he lives in or that he resides in.
There's people that just... Like, me and you have been privileged enough to travel and see some of the world and shit, and there is no simulation that I would trade this for anything from real life. I mean, I don't care how great or real it is. I wouldn't do it.
Like, it takes you to the Mediterranean. You can get your hand in the
you
water.
can do whatever.
Feel your hand being wet.
Bro, you can fly around and shoot fire out of your hands and
you
do whatever
you
want.
You can feel the wind go between your ears.
Yeah, but, dude, I just wouldn't. It's just not real. Like, I just am...
Well, what is real?
Joe, I think we're still old school guys. Like, we're born in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but you don't want to be the pilgrim when they're already driving on the roads.
Yeah, like you don't want to be the guy not using a cell phone in 2024.
Yeah,
I get it.
You don't want to be the guy with a horse and buggy in 1935. It's a rough spot to be in, dude.
Dude, imagine if like everybody in the world gets on and it's just the Amish people running the world now after that. Like
They're the only ones who had kids.
And they're the only ones who really are still have no technology fucking with them.
You know, I just noticed this cool feature that we got in the garage, and I'm noticing a bunch of bugs in here kind of circling around the computer screen. And
no, there's just a couple.
And I think just like that is the reality that we're living in, and it's like
we're grinders.
The imperfection of the world we live in is what makes the world so great. Not like a watered down world where there's no problems, there's nothing that you can ever worry about. Everything's at everything's at your fingers.
That's another thing. If my kids or grandkids were to have lived like that, like, bro, that breeds pussies. That is going to breed a fucking pussy.
Dude, but think about what your great grandfather would think of you today. Like, think about just like the world we live in. We got phones. We do all this stuff, and we have completely different lives than what he had.
Yeah, like they used to have to go to the library and shit to get information. I mean, I think
it's just a natural progression of just getting older,
dude. But okay, we're talking about phones and then a total different world matrix simulation.
Dude, I mean, think about the world 100 years ago. It's been so different.
I get that, but dude, I even think if you were to explain to somebody 100 years ago in 1925. What a phone is, like, you can read books in your hand, any book you want.
Right.
You can get information on whatever you want in the palm of your hand on a little small device. I think they'd be able to kind of wrap their head around that a bit more than you can immerse yourself in a whole different world and everything's just as real as it is in the real world. You could go anywhere, you could fly around, you could do all this shit with a chip implanted in your brain.
I think you would probably lose them on the chip part, but I think the part where it's like the imagination of like whatever your greatest imagination is, you will have full access to that.
I don't even think you're fully comprehending this. Like, dude, like,
no, I mean,
real
it's
as
hard.
possible.
It's hard to. Yeah, it's like you're the guy in the game. And you can get in and out of the game when you're playing.
You can just meet up with people from around the world, feel them. Like, dude, just crazy shit.
Okay, let me ask you this. You're playing NBA 2K, whatever. The year's 2050. You never dunked a basketball before, but you want to go into that 2K game and you want to play like you're Michael Jordan and you want to jump from the free throw line and it feels like you're jumping from the free throw line. It feels like there's 20,000 people in the stadium. I think people would kill to have that.
Yeah, it's like a drug, dude. It's like you try it once and then you try it and it's amazing. You're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 20 years old again and the best athlete in the world.
You throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl in Madden.
You're just addicted to it, like, and then you never stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so what's going on outside the world for everyone to be in the other one, right? If everyone's going to the simulation, what is the driving impact of, like, something that's happening on the outside?
Like, after 15 years of this, imagine, okay, because obviously there's going to be people like me who will just not want to do it or say they won't do it or whatever. There's going to be people who will just who will foresee the problems of this.
Mm-hmm. And they'll just leave.
Like guys like a Rogan, like guys like that, like they'll just foresee like this is such a bad path we can go down, and there'll be a good amount of people who won't do it. I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world, and a lot of people may not even be able to afford it.
Right.
And
it might be government issued.
Yeah, it could even get super cheap at some point. Obviously.
You know what it kind of sounds like? You know that the SpongeBob movie?
Yeah.
The chum bucket where the fucking plankton gets the fucking bucket
yeah.
Oh hell, like it's that type of shit.
Kind of,
but you're in the game.
The world
and you're
after 15 years could totally just look like run down.
Well, that's what I'm. Okay, so
huge, massive skyscrapers are falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like earthquakes will happen and nobody rebuilds anything after that. Like natural disasters happen, hurricanes. Nobody cares about rebuilding anything.
Right. Like, we have gotten to the point where it's like human interaction or human, like, just impact on the planet has gotten so bad, right? They're thinking about zero carbon emissions. And we're at the point where it's like, okay, well, we got 6 billion people that they're kind of just ruining everything. And they don't serve a purpose anymore because they don't even work. They don't even have to work. And it's like, you know, the climate change is happening, sea levels, whatever. They can use any reason for us to get into the game. Right, it could get so bad, like it's like a minor impact.
Yeah, nobody's driving cars, nobody's emitting any carbon emission.
Like, you want to save the planet? Get in the game and shut up.
Yeah,
so
that's actually a really good thought. But like, just imagine like what the American South would look like, or like the Gulf of Mexico from Florida to Texas after hurricanes, like massive hurricanes hit those areas, like Hurricane Harvey or Katrina or hurricanes in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody ever rebuilt anything, I mean, it would just everything would just be torn to shit. And
Right.
that's what it would happen over a 15-year span. Earthquakes.
I couldn't imagine though, even keeping that many people alive just to be in a game.
That's another thing. Like, there's still gonna have to be people
Like,
raising
what's the point
cattle.
of having
You still
them?
need to eat food. Like, you can't. That's like the one
Ooh,
catch.
shit.
You can't eat food in the game and get nutrients from it. You have to eat food and you have to fall asleep. Like, maybe you could sleep in the game and also sleep in real life. I could see that, but you have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got to eat and drink water.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do something where maybe they put you in like an IV drip or something, and they're just
Dude, but
dripping you
still
into
gotta,
shit while you're in the
Even if you're
game.
on an IV drip, you still have to drink water. Dude, like, your throat will
Right.
close.
Right.
then-
Maybe it's like, okay, maybe they use the people in the game for, like, maybe it's like powering the grid. Maybe it's powering the electrical grid. Maybe in certain parts of the world, this is what's actually like keeping the lights on. Is like people
Well,
in
like
the
they
game
have a
and,
hose like connected to their ass, and like their farts are powering the grid. Cause dude, that's what we're doing right now
Oh
at
my
my
God.
job. Like
yeah,
these sea trains we're retrofitting out. They're like hundreds of thousands of dollars. These dairies are buying them, and they're basically turn the cow shit into energy, and then they sell that energy to PG&E at peak hours. Like, so it's converting cow shit to electricity that is sold to the grid to use as power.
That's wild that they can.
Like,
do
imagine if they're doing that. I know I couldn't even believe it, but
How
imagine
can they
if they
even
start doing
convert
that.
into energy?
Dude, it's crazy. Like, these.
Do you just burn it?
No, I don't know. Like, so these sea trains, like, first they get built out like nice. Like, they already get. It's not just a sea train, just with metal doors on the inside, like metal walls. Like, imagine a sea train. It looks like a normal sea train from the outside, metal walls, but the inside has like not drywall, but basically like drywall on the inside. There's windows in them. There's extra doors they put on the side, like real doors. And then we have these pipes lining from the top, like for lights and wires. And then there's this big machine on like the right side of it, this big white box, and that's the thing that does it. Like, I don't know how it works or whatever it does, but they're hundreds of thousands. Like, these dairies are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for these things.
Right.
And I don't know how exactly it works, but all I know is it converts the cow shit to energy somehow.
That's insane.
And like, it stores it in a battery. Like, dude, it's crazy. Yeah. And then they're gonna sell it back to the grid. Like, that's the same thing what they're doing up at a Navy base right now. Another crew is like not the same thing, but they're doing these things like with these batteries that imagine two sea trains big is like one battery. And basically, like, I guess at this Navy base, they're making steam from something, like is producing off steam, and they're capturing the steam and converting it into power and storing it in these big ass batteries.
Yeah.
And then they're selling it back to like PG&E or Edison or whoever the hell is the electric provider at peak hours, and they're just making a ton of money. Cause dude, there's like that's like billionaire shit. Like, people who sell electricity to the grid, somehow, like,
Right.
or people who trade electricity, because electricity is the most volatile market in the world, and there's guys who are billionaires from trading electricity.
Do you think okay, so are all the batteries, are they all made out of lithium, or is there different ways to make a battery? Like, how you can make different types of batteries, right?
No, yeah, there's different types of batteries, but lithium batteries are like the rechargeable batteries. And that's another thing, lithium mining. Did you see
It's in the Congo, right?
Congo? But no, the most lithium's like in the highlands, like the salt flats in like Bolivia, Argentina, South America.
Oh, really?
Area.
I thought it was in
that's
Africa.
that's where the biggest, over half the lithium in the world is in that one spot. But did you see the Elon Musk interview with like some CNN guy or somebody, some left-wing guy?
Sure, it's CNN.
And they were talking about like resources, or might have been with Bill Maher. It might have been with Bill Maher, and Bill Maher was saying like about how we're overpopulated, and you know how Elon always says no, we're not, we're underpopulated.
I agree with
like,
Elon.
Yeah, and we need to make more. People need to. We're having declining birth rates, and he's kind of debating with Bill Maher on that. But then he's like, okay, but we don't have enough resources, and Elon Musk is like, that's actually not true at all. We have plenty of resources. Like, we're not.
Was
even
that his major
close.
point? Was that like we just don't have enough resources?
Yeah,
to
he's
keep
like,
everybody?
yeah, we have 7 billion people. Like, we do not have a population issue at all. We're overpopulated. We don't have enough resources. Is what Bill Maher's saying, and Elon's like, actually, we have declining birth rates, and
We do.
there's plenty of resources. Like, we don't even have any type of resource scarcity at all, especially with the way recycling is now, he was saying, and stuff. And
Shout out Sacco.
like lithium, lithium in the in those high salt flats and have you ever seen lithium mines? They're like pools. They're water pools. It's crazy.
Wait, it's not just dry at the bottom. It's actually
no,
like
they're
water.
Water pools, and then they dry the pools out somehow, and they pump this water from out of the ground because that's where all the lithium's stored is in water, like salt water. Because lithium's like salt, basically.
So is there a shit ton of lithium in the ocean?
No, it's different type of salt. That's like different type of salt. But the lithium is...
But it's in the water. So they
it's in the groundwater, and they pump all this groundwater up from out of the ground and then put them in these pools and then dry the pools out, and it looks like salt that once it's dry.
You know, I want to get...
And that's what's in the batteries and shit.
That's crazy. I want to get back to the cult stuff because I think this kind of ties into it. Okay, so I think we kind of broke down what a cult is. It's basically the guy who didn't die, or he likes to fuck his, he likes to
guy
fuck
likes
the
to
girls.
bang guys' wives and
He likes
take
to bang
money
guys'
from everybody.
wives. Yeah, right. But
and thinks he memorized the Bible.
But sometimes he's delusional, or sometimes he's just flat out deceitful. Like he knows exactly what he's doing, but he knows what he wants. The guy's a psychopath. I think of like Charles Manson, that type of character. What happens if we get into like this major cult where it's like Neurolink is the cult? Or like the religion is you will be taken care of, you'll go to a greater place. You just got to have the chip in your brain, and everyone falls victim to it. They believe in it. They believe in the lie, and the person who's like perpetuating that lie is making a shit ton of money. He's hypothetically he's fucking everyone's wife.
Yeah, dude.
Like could that be a cult in itself? It's like a belief system.
Yes.
It's believing in technology wholeheartedly without any repercussion, without any consequences, by just taking a 100% leap of faith into it.
There's so many lazy people in this world who hate doing anything, and they're miserable. And if you could give them the best life,
give them
ever,
an opium drip,
they will do anything. They'll go all in on it. There's so many people like that.
What is this? Is this Karl Marx who said religion's the opium to the masses? Is this like the new distraction? Like it's the new religion where it's like we're just trying to distract people?
I'm not sure. I'm not a Marxist. I know you're pretty big on Karl Marx.
But
I know you study Karl Marx.
It's a common quote. It's a common quote.
I know you've been indoctrinated from these colleges and shit, but
Fresno State. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like Dartmouth. Jesus.
But what I forgot to touch on about the Tucker Carlson thing, like Rogan was talking with Dave Smith, and he's like, yeah, I let Tucker he knows how to poke my buttons, and I let him right away rip right from off the start about aliens, and he knows just I'll go all in on that. But basically what Tucker was saying was that aliens aren't like what we think of as aliens, like they're angels and demons, basically. Have you heard this? And that's what's that guy, the guy that Rogan always has on, like the UFO guy, the big alien guy?
Is this the big alien guy? Is this Randall Carlson?
No,
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar, yeah.
Bob Lazar worked at
Bob Lazar was
Area
saying
51.
something like it's something about aliens and religion having something to do with like aliens and religion or something, and
like the divine intervention.
Basically what Tucker was saying is like these aliens are basically angels and demons, and us humans are like vessels for souls, and like these aliens just, I don't know exactly.
There's no way
what
Tucker
he was
believes
saying.
that.
Yeah.
I think isn't Tucker Christian? That doesn't make any sense.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. But he seems to say that he has sources and shit that I don't know. But it's just a weird thing to think of. I wish I knew more on it so I could talk more on it, but it's just it's a weird thing to think of.
It did like something like where like the prison theory, like the prison planet theory, where like we're all trapped on this planet and they're just taking our energy for their own like.
I don't know. I've never heard that.
Like
I think that's bullshit. I think it's all bullshit.
I
don't even believe
I thought that's what you're kind of leading.
No,
to,
but I don't even believe in aliens, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think. I'm gonna keep saying this. I think people that do believe in aliens, I think it's more of like a religious thing, where I think it's more of a belief system, and more of a faith-based like rationality to believe like, well, shit, I don't. There's so many planets out there. There's so many galaxies. There has to be life, but you've never seen it before. You've never seen it.
Why can I not remember who?
But isn't it? It's not like they're in this world or this dimension, right? Aren't they like interdimensional? Is this like kind of something like other people have talked about? Like I think like Alex Jones has talked about, like the aliens aren't here, they're in another dimension and they're trying to communicate
Alex
towards us.
Jones is just so...
I'm just trying to say somebody who people would know.
Oh yeah, so the God Sod guy Rogan had on, it was so funny because he started talking about like God was like, he asked him something like, is there anything like that you used to believe in that you don't believe in now? He's like, yeah, the stupidest one was Bigfoot. He's like, I used to totally believe in Bigfoot. Like, it was the funniest shit. And
how did that even get popular? Like, who cares?
well, okay. Well, no, like I guess Native Americans have like stories about Bigfoots and shit, and there's like a scientific name for like what a Bigfoot could have been. Like, I don't know, but
like this
he's
big
like
mammal.
yeah, Rogan's basically saying like, dude, we have so many trail cameras now and hikers. Like, if there's a Bigfoot, somebody would have a fucking picture of it by now.
You can't be deep in the Himalayas or something.
No, that's like the abominable snowman.
Is that where the abominable snowman is?
Yeah.
Or like in fucking Nepal somewhere?
Yeah, that's different. I don't think that's Bigfoot. But yeah, Rogan was like, the Bigfoot one was a big one because I was all in on Bigfoot. Like, fuck,
that's probably the dumbest one. I think I was like 7 and I figured out like that is probably one of the dumbest things to believe in.
Yeah,
is Bigfoot. Like
the Sasquatch, and yeah, that's what he's saying too. He's like, it's a cult. Like, guys who believe in Bigfoot want to believe in it so bad. Like, they have that show, like, Looking for Bigfoot or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
They're on, like, season 10, and they still haven't found shit, and they're still making a show on it. He's like, dude, it is a cult.
Joke.
Like, they want to believe so bad. Did you ever see the Nelk episode when they did the Bigfoot follower?
You feel bad for that guy,
that's
too.
the funniest
shit. He
shit.
spent his entire life studying
I know,
Bigfoot.
but, dude, that's that's what I mean. They want to believe it so bad. Remember they got the fake Bigfoot and shit? Like, how funny was that, though?
That's pretty stand-up, yeah.
I mean,
if that's not the epitome of the American dream, it's like a guy can live in the forest for 40 years, and he can spend his entire life trying to study a make-believe creature. Think about that. Like, it's just
the
like,
only
how
way
can
you can
anyone
do
that?
is if you got like in a car accident young and got like $20 million and just got to live out in the woods and do whatever you want.
But why Bigfoot? Why am I gonna try and find this fucking thing that's not may or may not be real?
He probably had some sort of encounter as a kid that he thought ever. At least he probably had a dream that thought was real or some shit. Because I've had things like that. I've had dreams that I thought were real.
Dude, I think it's weird to think about what a cult and what a religion is. Because it does sound like a religion.
What,
it's just
like
a cult.
Bigfoot?
Like, I think you call it a cult. Just it's like a derogatory term for like what a religion is.
Well, no, there's that one guy. God, it was like this Indian guy.
Oh my God.
I'll just tell her we're doing a pod. But so it's like this Indian
just text real quick.
guy who was a cult leader, like a yoga instructor or something, and he had
That's
all
usually
these
how it
women like who were just obsessed with it, like his teachings and shit. And he was just banging all of them, dude. And it wasn't a religion, really. Like, I guess a yoga religion, maybe you could say, but it wasn't like their god or something.
I think that's the fucked up part about all of it. It's like it always turns to sex. It always turns sexual. And like, you know, Gandhi like used to sleep with women naked, like naked women. Gandhi would sleep with them.
Well, he wasn't like a Buddhist, was he? I don't think.
I don't know what Gandhi was.
I don't think he was a Buddhist.
But that's one of his practices.
Well, I think he was probably Hindu.
He was trying to build his discipline up. Like, he was trying to be disciplined enough not to, like, engage with anything. But, like, I don't know. Gandhi's, like, a historical figure. But I'm talking about these guys who end up being, like, pieces of shit. Like, who actually start cults and, like, ruin people's lives. It always turns sexual. Like, it always starts out great at first, and then it always turns sexual.
No, these guys know, like, I don't know, dude. I think they know. Like, that guy, the Waco guy, he was banging guys' wives. They all bang guys' wives. It always
turns sexual.
Do you think Manson was banging guys' wives? For sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, Manson was a CIA guy.
But he was banging them still. Like, it turned sexual every time.
Manson was in the CIA. He was a CIA operator.
I think the second that you see a guy who's allegedly calling himself God banging a fucking human, I think that's the second you think, all right, I need to leave. I need to leave because there's no way this is a real fucking guy.
He's convincing these women that they're gonna have divine children and shit.
How stupid. Okay, are we just
brainwashed.
Are we just malleable enough to believe anything, or like can we fall victims to a cult? Because I like to I guess separate myself from those type of people. They're like, oh, how fucking stupid would you be to actually like follow a guy?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm just gonna be completely honest. I think anybody, even the strongest minded people, could fall victim to a cult. Like, if there is a person that is convincing enough and says all the right things to you, that it starts out slow, like you start just going to see him every Sunday like a pastor or some shit, then he starts inviting you on retreats and then shows you, oh, I have this ranch where people live with me, and like you're just all, like, this guy says all the right things. Like, I think anybody can fall victim to that. I'm not even saying I couldn't. Like,
No,
it just,
yeah, no, it's tough.
I don't know what he would have to say to make me do it. Like, I don't know what buttons he'd have to push.
He would have to say something so specific to your life.
He'd basically have to tell me, I'll give you $100 million. Because I just give a shit about money.
He's looking into your soul, and he's like, oh, my God, this guy understands what I'm looking for.
Yes.
That's
like
crazy.
Somebody like that.
But so I think, like, maybe at first that's actually not a bad thing. But then, like, at some point, like...
the guy wouldn't even talk to you if he didn't have a wife or a girlfriend or something. They wouldn't even talk to you.
Like, think about a guy with a 5 wife. Like, the wife's, like, mid. And, like, he's trying to enter the cult.
Oh, he doesn't care.
And he looks at the wife, and he's like...
Yeah, no.
You're good.
No,
like,
I don't think they care, dude. I think
how
those
funny
guys
would
don't
that
care.
be?
Yeah,
That's
that
a
would be
bit.
hilarious. But
why can't SNL make a bit like
they
that?
They want the guys and the wives to come so they could bang the wives, and then the guys all day just work like manual labor.
They're
just
workers.
Like, they're like fucking mining
Yeah.
sandstone or some shit all day, just sweating their ass off in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, cult leader is basically you're the boss. And all these guys are working for you
For free.
Yeah, for free. You're not paying them.
Yeah.
They believe
and you've
they're
already
gonna get
taken
some spiritual benefit.
You've already emptied their entire bank accounts. You're letting them live with you for free, but you have emptied their entire bank accounts, and now they're mining whatever the fuck they're mining for. You're making bricks or whatever the fuck they're doing.
This is what I want to poke at here. Because, okay, let's go back to 1595 and wherever. Was it in Austria? Was it wherever Martin Luther was based in? I think it was in Austria.
Maybe Germany.
Germany, yeah, okay. He's seeing the church is selling indulgences. Like, people are giving the church money in exchange that they're going to go to heaven. And he's seeing this, and he's like,
no,
this
to in exchange to forgive sins.
I thought it was like, you can go to heaven or something. Like,
they probably told him that too, but those things were basically like they're to forgive sins, yeah.
But if you're seeing that in
like they're
1595...
making people pay for confession.
Right, like, you're like, okay, do you want to be forgiven by God? Well, give me fucking $20. Like, whatever, what that equaled back then. And you're seeing that, and you're thinking, like, this is kind of fucked up. Like, how is this okay? And then so, like, how can...
What was the thing Martin Luther came and posted? What
it was the
called?
95 Thesis.
Yeah.
And it was like 95 problems that he had with the church.
Yeah.
And that was
Dude,
probably
you know who
one
I'd
of them.
love to talk about this with is Tim Gordon.
Gordon's too big for us.
Dude, we could get Dave Gordon on.
What is Dave Gordon doing?
He might still live in town. I don't know.
He might... Dude, I bet he moved.
He probably...
I bet he moved with
yeah,
him.
Probably
They're all out of here.
Well, no, I don't think he moved with him, but...
But he's living in Alabama. Like, he's living somewhere like
yeah,
there.
but dude, if he did, I'd love to talk to him about that shit too.
I mean,
he's no Tim Gordon, but he's a Dave Gordon.
No, but I want to talk to a guy because obviously they're going to be biased. They're always going to defend the church, which I respect. But it's like, can we acknowledge that there are some contradictions?
Yeah, like what I would like to...
They are wrong.
What I would like to ask them about is like the really corrupt popes that everybody knows about. Like, I forget, like one of the Pope Leos, I think, was super corrupt.
Sure, any
maybe.
pope during the Crusades, probably.
Yeah, like I would love to ask them about one of the most corrupt popes known to us.
Yeah.
And like ask him about those type of times. But what I also would like to ask him about is this shit that I've been reading out. Like people say is like the craziest conspiracy known to man right now. It's like there's this thing called the Gray Pope. It's like the Pope of the Jesuits, basically, and he's the one who really runs the world, they try to say.
Yeah.
And there's these, like, old families from Italy. Like, they all have Italian last names. And
what's the Club of Rome?
No, but I can't remember what one of their daughters... I think one of the daughters of one of these families married, like, a Rothschild or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're all about marrying into big, powerful families. Dude, like, crazy shit.
Right.
I don't know if it was a Rothschild or what it was, but, yeah, it's like... I kind of dug into this one day, and it was a lot of crazy shit.
I do find it interesting, though, like, the way people, like, historical figures, like, whatever, in history books, the way they get framed. And it's always, like, either black or white. Like, he was a good guy, he was a bad guy. Like, I feel like... where we came from or like what we were taught, it seemed like Martin Luther was more like, you know, he was crazy, he was eccentric.
I didn't think I was taught that. I
mean, what he went to trial and then they basically like exiled him and he went mad.
Oh,
that's how they kind of framed him at the end.
I guess into Martin Luther then
because
when I was in school.
It was a big deal. Like he went to trial against the Pope. The Pope condemns him. He sends him to exile, and then in his exile he goes crazy. What I remember from reading Martin Luther
Luther in Catholic school was that he wrote the 95 Theses and was just a guy who created Lutherans. And that's
it never really touches on like, because I don't think of Martin Luther as like a guy who's just a complete dickhead. Like if I was, you know, if I'm behind him in line, I don't think he's going to be the biggest dick. Like, if I said, hey, how's your day going? I feel like he'd be like, yeah, my day's good. Nice to talk to you. Like, he's a normal person. And I feel like he would have some reasons as to why he did what he did. And it's not like they don't really ever touch on that. Like, why did he think the way he did about the church? Was it valid? Was it not valid? I think it just says
It probably was very valid.
100% it was valid. They're selling indulgences. They're giving money. It's fucked up.
There's a bunch of other shit.
And there's 94 other reasons he posted.
The popes were probably banging guys' wives.
It was so, yeah, I'm sure it was so
and
corrupted.
The popes, dude, have you not seen that show, The Borgias or whatever it's called on like Showtime?
The Bourgeois?
No, it was like made on Showtime like back in like 2011. And like it's about like this family. The dad is a cardinal, and the pope dies or something, and they're going to do the new popes, and like his two sons are like going around to like the powerful families trying to make their dad the pope, and the dad ends up becoming the pope, and like it's about like just a powerful family in Europe and the corruption.
Is it called the new pope?
No, it's called like it's Borgias. I only watched like 3 episodes because it's kind of like I didn't like it that much, but
it's a little weird.
Not weird. It's just kind of older. It was like made in 2010, and like the sets back then just looked not good.
Right.
Shit. I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was nothing like Game of Thrones sets.
But there are a lot of things that don't get touched on, and I think it is interesting because it honestly, you know what it seems like? It seems like at that time the church had so much power that they could just run rampant with it. Like they don't care. It's got, you know what it's like? You know, it's like the CIA, how they just like think about like Martha's Vineyard, right? They just killed a guy.
Oh, that's the thing.
He's face down in the river.
Yeah, but did you
and
know
it's
this?
so obvious, but it's like you can't do anything about it.
So the street Obama lives on in Martha's Vineyard.
Is that in Connecticut?
No, it might be.
Or Rhode Island,
or
one of those.
It might be in Connecticut, actually. I think it might be an island off of the coast. Or no, that's Nantucket and shit. And there's another one, but whatever.
Yeah, right. It's in that area.
He lives on a street, like, with all these mansions, and it's, like, 5 of the 7 houses are owned by Saudis on that street.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Obama's house is he probably got it from a Saudi, bought it from a Saudi.
Right.
And,
because how would he be able to afford it if he, right.
Well, I'll tell you how he's able to afford it is because, like,
what, public speaking?
Yeah, like, when he's in office and he passes these policies and shit for banks or whoever the hell,
he's getting compensated.
It helps. He doesn't get compensated then, but right when he's out of office, these banks will be like, hey, we'll have you come speak at our meeting and we'll give you $1 million.
Yeah, we'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah, because of this policy you passed back then. Thank you. We're basically thanking you for it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, it's owned by Saudis, and, like, I think, like, when the Yemen shit happened and the Yemen war and when the Saudis started bombing Yemen. And
what year was that?
Probably.
Or just give me a rough, like, decade. Like
2019 is when it stopped, kind of, like, when there was a ceasefire.
So 2010, it was under the administration of
It was like
Obama.
2014. It was like 2013, 2014. And, because the Saudis wanted weapons from the U.S., and then he okayed a bunch of weapon sales to them, like billions and billions of dollars of weapon sales, and they probably were thinking, like, we'll give you this house,
right?
We'll give you this, we'll give you that,
yeah.
Obama's probably a billionaire.
No, okay. So the point though is like they can just kill a guy. They can just kill a guy, and it's like
they have a guy who could kill a guy.
People are talking about it. We're talking about it. We're in Bakersfield, California. We're talking about it on the other side of the country,
and nothing matters.
It's just so blatantly obvious. Like the guy just didn't die of natural causes. I feel like with that amount of power that they have just to get away with murder, basically, the Catholic Church back in 1595 probably had that same
10
privilege.
Times more, I think.
Probably the same privilege.
I bet you 10 times more.
And they had the fucking spiritual
because
being
if
over
anybody
you.
like us talked about it, they just offered.
Oh, we're getting hung. We're getting hung, dude. We are worse than Martin Luther.
Yeah.
The dude just posted a complaint. He just had a complaint message posted on the church.
Remember we were talking about the Boeing shit, the first guy, the whistleblower who they said committed suicide. He shot himself, but like before he died, he said he would never kill himself.
Right.
There's another Boeing whistleblower, and the way he died was he was fine one day, then the next day he was just terminally ill in the hospital. They had no idea what was wrong with him, and within like a day and a half of him getting sick, his like limbs started dying, and they thought they were gonna have to amputate him, but he died.
Do you think
he got poisoned by somebody?
Do you think they can send like a certain frequency at you? You think that it's that?
I've
like,
heard some
advanced?
dude. I've heard some crazy shit like about down in Antarctica, like they can create earthquakes and shit. Like,
Oh, I believe that. If they can like seed the weather, if they can seed clouds.
no,
with
that's
the
not that
rain.
crazy.
I know, but it's like if they can do that, and that's what we know of, they can obviously do crazier shit.
Dude, but creating an earthquake, bro, is different than cloud seeding.
No, I
bro,
know,
they've been
but
doing
the
cloud
fact that-
seeding for
the fact that they can just change the weather like that, they
decades.
can obviously they can.
It's not
cause,
changing the weather. It's like if there's clouds, they can put
like
this.
doesn't who is
it's like silver nitrate or something. It's just a normal chemical.
doesn't United Emirates do that a lot? And
A
like
lot.
they just had an incident too where they like they overseeded the clouds and now like the city was kind of flooding.
No, they
and
didn't seed the clouds, and there was just a monsoon. They didn't even seed.
I thought
the
they
clouds.
seeded the clouds,
No,
and for
no.
that reason, like the
No,
whole
but it
streets were
flooded.
flooding.
Like Abu Dhabi flooded, but it wasn't. You
Yeah.
couldn't do that. You couldn't even overseed them to do. It wouldn't do that. Even if they wanted to do that, they couldn't. Like it wouldn't. It doesn't work like that.
If you were one of the whistleblowers for Boeing, and you like okay, the conversations we have had over the past 5 months, obviously you don't trust them. You don't, and obviously you know you're gonna be in trouble. You know you just did something that was a big no-no, and you know what are the implications of doing that. What's your first move once you do it?
If I'm a Boeing whistleblower,
yeah, like where are you going? Are you going to the Fiji Islands? Are you going?
I'm not gonna be. I'm smart enough to not say shit. I'd tell them.
So you would just never do it. You would just never say anything.
I would never try to blackmail them. I would never do anything.
Hypothetical. Let's say you did.
First thing I'm doing, first of all, I try to blackmail them and say, "Hey, I know we did this.
You can't blackmail.
I just want $1 million,
You
guys, and I'll just fuck off forever."
And
if they say no, and I do go whistleblow,
where do you go? Alaska?
Russia, defect to Russia.
You go to Russia?
I mean, that's the only way you're staying alive.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere where it's like the UN doesn't have any like.
You have
say
to
over
defect to somewhere. Yeah.
You got to go like, hey, no, you probably can't even go to Iran.
No.
You
Well,
probably
that guy
it's probably
just
so
died.
tough to go to Russia too.
The guy just died. You saw that? The Iranian president.
He died?
You didn't know this?
No.
You've been so out of it the last couple of days, I guess.
He really
It happened
died.
like a week ago. He was on a helicopter with
Wait,
the
hold on.
Ministry
Who's
of...
the Ayatollah? I thought he was the president.
No, Khomeini was back then. No, this is the new guy, the butcherer they call him. The president. He was on a helicopter with like the Ministry of Defense.
I know. Yeah, it was a plane crash, right?
It was a helicopter.
A helicopter crash. Okay, I saw some funny shit on TikTok where it's like,
yeah.
you know, the CIA's back. And it shows,
Well,
like,
I don't
them,
know.
like,
Well,
fucking fist pumping,
Mossad would probably do it.
which is probably the CIA.
But
too.
the problem is, it's that guy's impossible to get to. Like, you can't get to a guy like that. Or if you could, they would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Do you think it was just a freak accident?
yeah, that's what. Even like the Iranian.
Well, of course they're gonna
people.
say that. Why would they not? Why would they say,
Because
"Oh yeah, we
no,
got
they
killed"?
would want to, so they could go fucking attack someone. They would want to say there's foul play. Yeah, they said it's just an accident, but helicopter goes down. It's him and like the Minister of Defense or whatever.
But if they're engaging in war, wouldn't you think you would want more like? I guess if you were just gonna say,
I
like,
don't know. They don't want to look weak, dude. I don't know. But whatever.
well, you want to look like you're the oppressed, like they're the bad guys. We got guys.
Yeah,
getting
but I
killed.
don't know. I don't know. Whatever. He fucking. It
That's
was
crazy,
an
though.
accident. He went down. They didn't know if he died or not. All they knew is they went down, and they sent search parties out there. They found the plane or the helicopter, and there was no survivors. They saw his body and shit.
Jesus.
And people in Iran were fucking shooting off fireworks and shit, celebrating this guy's death.
Really?
Yeah, his nickname's the Butcherer.
It's a
Dude, this
badass
guy
nickname.
would chant, death to America, death to Israel, death to
So why do the
America,
people
death
not
to
like him?
Israel. Because they're a fucking
He just treats them like
oppressor.
shit. Yeah, he just treats them like shit.
Iran's in a shitty condition, dude. Their unemployment's terrible. What's it called? Inflation's
Aren't we kind of
terrible.
responsible for this?
Yeah.
though? We're definitely like.
We want to be responsible. We want them to have a revolution.
Right.
But
I was listening to something though about like the application 1979 of the government. It was like they were either gonna side with the Soviet Union, or they're gonna be Islamic extremists. Like they're gonna be like a theocracy, like a republic theocracy, and the U.S. had to decide. They already ruined the relationship between Iran, and they're like, well, who do we want? What kind of government do we want there? And so I think they chose to go that way instead of like them joining up with the Soviet Union.
yeah.
Which is interesting. I want to read a little more about that.
Well,
but
Khomeini was a fucking
Because who did
like
they?
a super conservative Islam guy, like Sharia law type guy, basically. And
Didn't they have like Saddam Hussein go in there and he like kind of started causing like.
well, that's what
havoc?
happened after he came in. After Ayatollah came in, that's when the Iran-Iraq war started.
Right.
And there were bombings and
And that was like
shit.
early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like right after.
Right after.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. What do you think? Okay, this is a hard thing to grasp for me. Just like, because I like to understand things. I like to see things I just like in my own head. Like I like to understand it. But obviously, like there are definitely things that I like cannot see myself, or I can't even fathom, or I can't even like. I guess I can't even like draw up how. But there are so many things out there that I don't understand, and it is like. But it's like you want to know. You want to know these things. I want to see it. I want to kind of understand it.
It's so funny that you're saying this because I was just about to touch on something like this. But what? Keep talking.
Like it's just like what is something out there where obviously there's something going on right now that I can't see. I don't understand. I don't know how the fuck it's happening, but it's happening nonetheless. And there's a select group of people that know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I get that. But about the knowledge thing. Think of this, like
It's
when
tough.
there are like people like Jake Har's house or people's houses who have like libraries and there's like 500 books in
Right.
there, 600 books, and if it's your library or it's your house, your study, your office, and you have 600 books in there, like people give you books all the time about all different types of shit, and you've probably only read, say you're a very avid reader, you've probably read
A third
150 of them. There's still, say, 500 books you haven't read. There's so much, and that's every time you read a book and you learn something, every time you read one of those books and you learn something new, you learn all these new things, but then there's still 500 books that you haven't read.
Right.
You realize how little you actually know.
But does it also make you think how little anyone who wrote these books actually knows?
Yeah,
too?
well, because a lot of these guys are just experts on one thing.
So let me ask you this. Is it better to be a guy who knows a little bit about everything, or is it better to be a guy who knows one thing to the T, who's like considered an expert? You know
Well,
the history of it. You've done so many like readings on it. You spent so much time studying it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
would you rather
I know
be
what
like
you mean. It's
hyper-focused
much
on
more.
one thing or a multitude
I
of
tell
things?
you what, it's much more interesting to be the guy who knows a little bit about everything. He's much more interesting to talk to. He's much more interesting to. It's a much more interesting guy than the guy who's an expert on one subject, like who's done all of his life studying this one thing,
Do you
like
think
evolutionary biology or whatever the fuck
like
it
they
is.
dedicated like the Bigfoot guy, but instead it's more about what?
I think somebody's out there.
Here we go. This
I'm not sure.
All right, forewarn this. This is whatever. Well, you might hear our garage go off. We're not in a garage, so whatever. What was I gonna fucking say?
I don't know, but you
dude.
realize, dude, how little you actually know when you start learning things that you don't know, and then when you start really thinking how many more books are out there, or how much more information is out there, and you think you know a lot about something, you just realize how much you little know. It's the same about like jiu-jitsu or fighting. Like you go to a jiu-jitsu class, you roll with a black belt or a purple belt or a brown belt, you realize just how helpless you are when you roll with a guy or fight with a guy who actually knows a little bit about what they're doing.
Right.
You just realize how helpless you are. When you read a book and you realize and you start fathoming how much more books are out there, how much more information is out there, you just realize how little you know.
And the thing about like that's only recorded. Like
Exactly.
it's only recorded. How many things haven't been talked about?
Well, that's
how many things
another
haven't been
thing
touched on?
about the Neurolink shit. Rogan, what he was saying, he's like, everybody would do it, you know. And he was like saying,
I
if
think I
you
would
could
do it
go
for the
back
one
to
reason
like
I talked
ancient
about.
Egypt and watch them build the pyramids, like who the fuck wouldn't do that? Like everybody would want to see that if you could go back to ancient Egypt and see how it was.
I'd love to go back
Like,
to
yeah,
Jesus'
everybody
days
would
and
do that,
See
yeah.
how he did it.
Everybody would do that. So
But if he is Jesus, though, he'd be like, "What are you doing here?"
yeah.
That would be the biggest fucking trip, dude. Oh my God, you're.
But it's like, how did they get that right though? Because the Neuralink people, obviously, it has to something has to get programmed or something. Like, how do you get that right? Because it's still an AI.
Isn't it the AI though? It's like it's supposed to be impartial. All it is taking in data, and then it's self-learning. As the more data it gets, it's able to like formulate a thought on it.
It's just nuts, dude. It's fucking nuts.
And so it's probably the truest form of non-bias. Because it's like, what agenda does the AI have other than collecting data and then spitting out
like
something to
going
say?
back to ancient Egypt and watching them build the pyramids, nobody has no clue how they did that. So how could we wouldn't be able to see that?
How
shit.
crazy is it that we lost the information of how they did it? And I know that was in the
I don't think
Library
they
of
lost
Alexandria.
it. I don't even think it was.
Well, dude, I bet it was.
Dude, I
lost.
think it was way longer ago than they say it is.
I guarantee there was a explanation of how they built it in like the Library of Alexandria in Egypt.
Bro, I think the pyramids
They fucking
were
burnt.
built.
Dude, this is another thing the Catholic Church did wrong. Is they burnt a bunch of things like they burnt that library down in Alexandria. Like it had all the information, like it was basically the internet. Like it had all recorded human history, all the collected texts in that. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to burn everything that wasn't Catholic.
Yeah.
And so anything that it was basically pagan. And so
Well,
you burned it. They burned it all down. I think it was first started in. I think it was like under Julius Caesar. They didn't completely destroy it, and I think 300 years later, when the Catholic Church took power in Rome,
I don't know who it was.
I think it was Caesar. It was definitely Caesar.
Okay, well, I'm in the group that believes that because they say ancient Egypt was like what 2,000, 2,500 years ago, whatever.
Ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
It's like probably 6,000 BC.
No, that's not ancient Egypt. That's Mesopotamia.
I think Egypt's I think it was 6,000 years ago.
No,
It might have not been 6,000 BC, but I think
it's like 2,000 BC.
I think Egypt's really old. I think it's a little younger than like the Sumerians or the Sumerians.
Yeah, 2100 BC to 330. It was, and then Alexander the Great conquered in 332. So 2100 BC, so 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Which was what I thought, like 2000 BC. So, but I'm in like the group that thinks like the pyramids and the Great Sphinx were built well before 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, this is like the
like I think they were built like 10,000 years ago, like right after the Ice Age.
Randall Carlson. Who's the other guy? Who's the other guy?
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock. Yeah, you believe that he was way older, past 12,000.
Yeah,
before
because
the
dude, like 2,100 years ago, we have information on 21 for 4,000 years ago is a long time, but that is a blink of an eye in human history.
You know what's crazy
or
though?
in history, it's a blink of an eye, and like, but 10,000 years ago is a way different ballpark, and I can see how the information gets lost from then to now, and like they also say like there's at the Great Sphinx at Giza, they say there's like water erosion on it and like water lines, like because you know how you can see like if in a pool or like in the ocean, like on a rock where like you could see like a white line where the water's been, you know.
Yeah.
It would like there's lines like that on the Great Sphinx, and they say like it traces back to over 10,000 years ago. So if it's had to be there for 10,000 years. Can they actually
trace it back that far?
Yeah, like for the most part, because they do.
Why is that not common knowledge?
Dude, I don't know.
I don't
know. I'm not an archaeologist. Like, I watched that Graham Hancock debate with that archaeologist.
Yeah.
And, like, I guess textbook archaeologists or mainstream archaeologists just go with whatever the mainstream thought was from back in the 70s or 60s or however long it's been. Like, they don't really challenge ideas. Like, Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson and a handful of guys are the only guys who challenge shit, really.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know why it is. Like, it's very weird. Like, wouldn't you want to know? Like, it's... I think they're just so stubborn to say, oh, we got this wrong. Which is really weird. Like, but you know, that's human nature. Like, people hate saying they were wrong. People hate admitting they were wrong.
Okay.
People hate admitting that all the shit they've been learning their whole life is wrong and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think there is a good reason why most people don't do what Graham Hancock does, because he's definitely been ostracized from that community, and like they just see him as like...
And that's another reason why.
Yeah. Who were the first civilizations? Like, what were the first like known?
They say the Sumerians.
Sumerians
in Mesopotamia.
But Mesopotamians are in the same location as the Sumerians. It was in modern day Iraq or Iran, Iraq, like that area of the world.
Yeah, the Euphrates, Tigris, and the Euphrates River.
It's the Sumerians. It's not Mesopotamians because they came after the Sumerians.
No, Sumerians were in Mesopotamia, though.
But Sumerians came, and then it was the Mesopotamians afterwards.
I think they're the same people.
Yeah, Sumerians are Mesopotamians, but Mesopotamians aren't Sumerians.
Yeah, whatever.
But
it's in the same area.
There's another group though that I'm like I just been thinking about. I don't know. I feel like
I don't know. I just know this ancient Sumerians.
Can we look this up? Who were the
ones.
Sumerians and who were the earliest civilizations? But no, dude, it's a good point to make because I think again, not a lot of people want to look stupid too, right? If you're gonna like commit to an idea and then like reaffirm that idea constantly when it gets brought up for discussion, and then inevitably you end up looking dumb and like you look like you were wrong the entire time.
Yeah, I was right. The Mesopotamians are the Sumerians. Sumer, located in Mesopotamia.
No, yeah, I know the same spot. But wait, what was the other civilization then?
Egypt was.
Was it Egyptians?
That was a couple thousand years after. Indus Valley civilization and Chinese civilization.
So where's the Indus River? Is the Indus by India?
India.
Yeah,
I think.
India, Pakistan.
Or no, that might be in. Yeah, I think it is in India.
Yeah, because I mean it makes sense, like right,
Yeah, it
civilizations
is.
start wherever
Pakistan,
water is,
India,
wherever
yeah.
there's moving, flowing water. That's where the civilizations are going to start, and it's going to be by those 4 major rivers.
I think the Chinese shit's really crazy. Like, I watched this thing like about the old Chinese dynasties and like what made me watch it is this guy, like one of those clips on YouTube. He was asking this guy, what are like the 5 deadliest wars or periods in human history, and the guy knew all of them, and they were ones you'd never think of.
Right.
Not World War II, none of that shit.
Yeah.
He said like the change from the Qing to the Ming Dynasty, like the Civil War in China was like the biggest loss of life ever, like bigger even than Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And
or like in one battle.
No, like over
a period
years,
of time.
like over a wartime. Yeah. And so I looked into it and shit, and like, dude, it was just a lot like crazy, like from the Qing Dynasty to the Ming Dynasty, like hairstyles changed and just all this crazy shit was just so different. And there's just like
It's
ancient China was probably fucking nuts, dude. Like they there's just all these factions and shit, and whoever the strongest faction is gets to rule all of fucking mainland China or whatever ancient China land was. And it's just all these fucking tribes of different people.
Right.
And then there was like I forget what happened out, like what the end of the dynasties was. I can't remember what it was. But then you have the fucking guy, the Mao guy.
Yeah, it didn't go all the way to Mao, basically, and then Mao took over.
Basically, it was like the dynasties kind of ended a little before that, I think. Like, but
was it before World War I or after?
Before, I think it was the end of the 1800s.
Wasn't the Qing? What is it? Yeah, wasn't
the
Qing
Mings?
The Ming was the Ming dynasty in the 20th century.
Yeah, or late 19th century,
Right.
maybe early 20th, whatever. And then the Mao fucking guy fucking comes in and just kills fucking everybody.
Yeah,
It's everybody dies.
What
Like
it was
40
called
million.
It
was
was
famine, like just all this crazy shit.
Everything's a culture war. Everything's a culture war. I think it goes down. It reduces down to that. It was called the Cultural Revolution, right? You want to change societal norms. You want to shape how people think or how they perceive thoughts.
You know what's
how they think about
what's crazy
roles.
is like Genghis Khan fucking took over the entire continent basically.
Took over Asia Minor too.
Yeah, the entire continent, but he never could take over Japan. Like they rolled up to
the
Japan.
samurai dude kicked their
it's
ass.
because they just see all these fucking samurais and they're just like, okay, we don't want to fuck with these
dude.
guys.
Yeah, you got a body of water around you. I think that's a big advantage. I think.
That's why
Why do you think
Russia.
the UK was so great?
Well, that's why Russia.
I mean, dude, these bodies of water.
The way Russia started kind of was, they were trying to
Vikings.
find like geographical things to protect them, like because from in the south, like Kazakhstan and all those fucking countries down
Right,
there,
yeah.
it's just a big step. So it's just a lot of land in between, but
Uh-huh.
you like that's Genghis Khan took over it all. Like they were trying to look for like mountains or rivers or oceans in between, like so they could kind of give themselves geographical protection, because that's the best type of protection. Like if a whole army has to trek through high ass mountains and shit, like
ask Napoleon and Hitler how that worked out.
Yeah,
trying to invade Russia.
The fucking the army's gonna be gassed when they get there, and they're not gonna be able to fight as good as they would.
You know what's crazy about like Greece, Turkey, Iran, like that region of the world? The Greeks and the Iranians are more common, like ancestrally, like they are more in common with their ancestors than Turkey is, and it's in between. But like Turkey's like ancestor, like there's a bunch of like Mongolian blood for residents living in Turkey because it's Genghis Khan coming in and he took.
Oh yeah, there's
over
some
the entire
crazy stat
territory.
like Genghis Khan's blood is in like some crazy amount of the population.
So like a 10%
over there.
of the population.
Yeah, some crazy dude. He was just fucking everybody.
He was raiding villages and he would fuck the women.
Well,
it always goes down to that. It always goes down to it.
Because how many women can you actually fuck? Because
enough.
But it's that he had so many kids already, boys, that were fucking these women too.
True, dude. I never
Yeah,
put it
so like
that.
he had all these kids already, like that were 15, 16-year-old kids by then.
So
and
it's like a pyramid scheme. It's just like you're
yeah.
inseminating your.
You have 500. You have 10,000 kids that are in your army when you raid these towns, and they're all fucking them too.
Right.
And you're
Dude,
just
such a
having
good
all
point.
these. But it's just your whole ancestry.
Did he even? I think he died young too. I don't even think he.
I don't know
think
how
he lived that
young he
long.
died, but
But
yeah,
died
it's
in,
just
like,
he had so
40s.
many kids, dude. The guy would just. Guy's probably having a kid a day. He was probably having a kid a day.
I think
on
with,
average.
I think with all the knowledge that the entire like internet has of like the entire world, I think we probably have 5% of it.
Of Genghis Khan.
Of just world knowledge of like
Less.
history.
1%.
Yeah, maybe.
Bro.
No, because I
Are you
agree.
thinking of human history?
Human history.
Okay, because I was going to say, bro, the world's 14 billion years old.
No,
There's no way.
Duh. We can't even agree on that.
Okay, let's say human
either.
history.
We can't even
I
agree on
know.
that's just how far we can see the
People
universe.
will just say, people try to say, okay, the first civilization was the Sumerians, but I don't believe that. I think it's older than that. Like, I think there were humans way before that, obviously.
Advanced
and we know
civilization where they're writing, they have a writing record.
Yeah,
they
I
have
think there's even
they have a
longer
government.
before. Bro, we have.
They have a religion.
They have tablets. Fuck, what are they called? Like the Emerald tablets or something that are known to be like 12,000 years old or something like that. Let's just say 10,000 years old is human history, like civilization history.
Dude, we've been bipedal for 1.5 million years.
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus
But
Christ.
let's just say 10,000 years. Make it easy. I bet we know 1%.
Yeah, probably.
Less.
Well, it's interesting with the China part, too, because I feel like not a lot of people know about Chinese history. Because, I mean, they did have, like, an isolationist period until we kind of forced their hand. They, like, opened up.
Japan had that was Japan.
It was China, too.
Yeah, but Japan was really, like, what was the guy's name?
It was, like, the 1850s.
What was that guy's name? But there was a guy from America.
Opium trade. That's what opened it up. Opium trade.
But there was a guy in America that made Japan open up to the world, basically.
Was it? I thought it was. I thought it was
name.
Great Britain. I thought it was like they wanted.
An American
they
guy.
kind of forced them to take their opium and then do business with them.
I'm talking about Japan, not.
I thought it was Japan too. I don't.
No, the opium.
Was it Patton?
The opium's in China.
Was it General Patton?
No.
Was it? It was a lot earlier than that, right?
Way earlier.
1880s. Hey, we like to learn things here on this podcast. We like
American, the Commodore Matthew Perry. That's why I said Commodore.
Same with fucking
Matthew Perry led 4 ships into Tokyo Bay, seeking to establish for the first time regular trade and discourse between Japan and the Western world. But yeah, then
what year? Wait, what year?
1853.
Yeah, okay.
But when Mao came in, this is another crazy thing I just found out. He stopped the opium trade, right? Because there's all these like warlords and super rich drug guys from the opium trade in China, but Mao ran them all out of China, and that's why they all went to the Golden Triangle, like Laos, Burma, or modern Myanmar, and like northern Thailand, where all those 3 countries meet at the borders of those lands. And
holy
did you ever saw American Gangster, right?
No,
with
but
Denzel?
I've seen Deer Hunter, and that is exactly what they're doing in that region of the world. Yeah, they're like Vietnam.
Well, yeah. Well, so American
they
Gangster.
have like these opium dens.
Yeah,
or
but
dens in there.
But so they started just planting opium fields all over there and shit. But now they just make meth over there too. But so when American Gangster, like when Denzel was an American Gangster, this was during the Vietnam Wars, like 60s. He went over to Vietnam, then into Thailand or Burma or Myanmar. Yeah, Frank Lucas went into Myanmar and found this guy they based this guy, like he goes into China, like into the jungle, and gets marched in by like an army, like a Chinese, like a rebel group basically, and meets like the warlord, the Chinese warlord guy, and he was literally he's Chinese, but he lives in Burma. He's ran out. I forget, it's like the Shan state or the Shah state. Like he had like his own state carved out of Myanmar. Like he had the most power, like a more powerful army than the country had.
Right.
And all his money was from selling heroin.
It's a cartel.
Yeah, and this fucking guy, Frank Lucas, goes and meets up with him in the movie and starts getting all of his heroin from this guy. But like it's basically like it's an unlawful place. Like these guys run that whole entire part of the jungle. Like, and they're just fucking making so much money. And now they make just meth over there and shit.
You remember?
Like they supply all of Australia.
Is this like This is gonna sound stupid. It was like, you remember Tropic Thunder, where he's in the jungle and he like goes to this like tribe or this village that sells the opium.
Yeah.
Is it kind of something like that? Like it's kind of like they're just governing
I don't
themselves.
know how you haven't watched American Gangster yet.
I just I can't get around it.
It's a great film.
Great
film.
Honestly, I was the biggest movie guy, and it's hard for me to sit down and watch a movie now. I think it's my attention span, man. I think it's like I get on TikTok, I start scrolling, I can't fucking pay attention.
No, but a movie like that,
2 hours.
dude, a movie like that. Me and John Paul, a couple months ago, he came over to my house and we watched the entire movie. And I've probably watched that movie 50 times.
Dude, I mean, I'll watch anything with Denzel Washington. Yeah, Denzel Washington's the best.
I don't know. There's some movies with Denzel I don't like that John Q movie I didn't
There's
like.
hit and misses. No one's perfect.
Did you watch John Q?
No, but
it's
it
the movie
sounds
where like
stupid.
he takes over like a hospital, like his son needs a transplant, and he like holds everybody hostage.
Yeah,
in
he's
the
like
hospital.
so badass. It's like Liam Neeson.
No, it's
the
not
guy
like that. No, it's a true story.
Really?
Yeah, it's a true story. This guy's kid needed a heart transplant. And they like the insurance wouldn't cover it, so like
so he
takes like the emergency room hostage basically. And I don't know, but fuck.
That sounds like a good movie, actually.
It was kind of dumb, but compared to American Gangster,
dude.
Or Equalizer. So
I've never watched Equalizer.
Equalizer number 3 was cool because it's in Italy. Like the scenery was cool, but it was just kind of dumb.
I can't watch blockbusters.
Dune number 2 is the greatest of all time.
I can't get into Dune. It sounds like exactly like Star Wars. It did a Star
not.
Wars kick earlier last year.
Dude, Dune number 2 is so good. And you know what's so funny is Giancarlo said he tried watching and he couldn't watch the first one or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or it might have been somebody else. But the funniest thing is after I saw Dune number 2, I called Giancarlo and he knew I was at the movie. I go, bro, this might be one of the best movies I've ever seen. And right when he answers the phone, he goes, if another person is about to tell me Dune number 2 is the best movie they've ever seen, I'm hanging up on you. I'm like, bro. I'm like, who told you that? He's like, Nico said that because Nico saw it and fucking said it was the best. I'm like, bro, Dune number 2, it's way better than number 1.
So you're going to give Timothy Chalamet his flowers.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Give him the flowers.
Dude, he is unbelievable. But it's just I'd love to read the books now. I'd read the books now on Dune. Like, it's unbelievable. And the director, dude, I can tell you right now, they pour so much money into that fucking movie, the production. Oh, my God.
Is it me or there's more bugs right now? It seems like
lights.
It seems like there's getting more and more bugs in here as we speak.
It's because the lights, but we can wrap it up now.
Yeah, fuck, it's already 9:43. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, so in short, don't be a cult leader because why be that fucking guy?
And nothing's predetermined, and Joseph's a Marxist.
I'm not a Marxist. I believe in free will.
Wait,
but
what's the
it's
Karl
free
Marx
will,
book that he wrote?
illusion.
What's the Karl Marx book he wrote?
Fuck, I don't know.
I'll look it up
How
after.
the fuck am I supposed to know?
Well, I know you read it a couple
I don't know.
times.
I've never... my manifesto. It's just his manifesto.
Yeah, whatever it's called, yeah. Something like that.
Well, this is episode 78 of Backhouse Productions. If you guys have any comments on how this show should be, let us know. And if you made it this far, thank you, and go fuck yourself.